It's time for another video from Scrappy Saturday. Today I am going to be making a card that is quite versatile, and this is all Stampin' Up! Today. And first of all, I've done this one, which is a Thinking of You, and this one was done with the new mint paper in our new color cardstock, and mint macaroon or something like that. And so anyway, then I have a hard time remembering all these names. They're real catchy, but I still have a hard time remembering all these names, brand new names. So anyway, this one was done with that, and then the new brick embossing folder that we put on there, and the colored cardstock the decorative cardstock that goes with the solid cardstock. And so anyway, I did this one with the Thinking of You. This particular I have the thing here somewhere. Hold on just a second. I've got it. I used two parts of our stamp collection. Thoughts and Prayers is one of them, and the other one that I used is it's both Thoughts and Prayers. It's just two different, I guess this is part of the same thing. It's just two separate folders for them all. Okay, anyway, I'll get my act together in just a minute. But anyways, I'm using the sentiments on this one, but I'm using the brush, the greenery, or whatever the little thing here is for the decoration on here. But on this one, I used it this way, and then inside we did this, which is very simple. Please know that I care. And all of these stamps came out of that set. And then I did another one. Now this was just other cardstock that I had, because I'm always running out of sympathy cards. And this one was the Sharing in Your Sorrow. And it still came from those stamp collections, and I did this. But on this, you can see an envelope that I made for this that it goes with, that it matches. I like to make matching envelopes, and one day I'm going to do a video just on making the envelopes that match, and to go with your cards. But it fits in like that. And then on the outside, I did some of the design with that particular color. So anyway, those are the ones that I'm going to that I've already done, and I'm going to show you today. But this one comes from the Pistachio Pudding, which is the collection from a couple of years ago. I still like it, and I still like their dotted paper that goes with it. Love that. Of course, it's this on the other side, but I love the dots. But anyway, I cut this, again, this is cut at 5.5 by 8.5. And then it's scored at 4.25. This right here is the top part, which is just your Whisper White cardstock. And it is cut at 4 by 5.25. This is just a border punch that I had, a scallop punch that I had that I used, one from Spellbinders, and I am using, and I'm putting it right here. I'm doing a different little doodad in here, and then I took the oval punches, and then I cut out the oval right here, and I cut it in half, and I'm going to use that on the inside on this particular card. So, anyway, the first thing that I did, and actually this is probably the best way to do it, however, is I took this half piece from that oval that was punched out. I'm trying to center it close to the bottom. I embossed this, by the way, with butterflies, and so therefore, since it's embossed, it's a little more difficult to write on, so you need to be able to write on the card. So, wait a minute, that's a little off. And I'm pretty picky about trying to get this centered as best I can. But anyway, yeah. Anyway, there it is. And then I'm going to take this, and I want to get it kind of centered, make sure that the scallops kind of come out the same. So I'm just going to go ahead and put it on, and then I'll trim off the excess. Whenever you're doing scallops or something like that, sometimes it's really difficult to get it to come out right, and it looks kind of off or something. So the best way to do it is just to cut more than you need, then fix it so that your scallops are coming out pretty well the same on both ends. I see that I've got to put down a little more glue on this end. This is my Tombow glue, which I love Tombow glue. It dries fast, and this doesn't, and you can't see it. It's clear. Anyway, but there again, you've got the same amount of scallop on either end. That works. And then I'm just going to trim off the excess on either end. And I've got this coming out a little bit, so I'm going to have to wipe it off before I can do anything with it. And then trim this off. Now I've got that. Really shouldn't have used that glue on the inside when I was needing to close it, but oh well, it's done. Okay, now that I found my spoon, let's first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my little embossing pal, which basically just rub it over this section where I'm going to be putting the stamp, because always that embossing powder gets all over it and it sticks, and then it'll stick when you heat it up. Not good, but it'll still stick to some extent. So you really have to make sure that you don't have a lot of powder all over it. Okay, now I'm using the Versamark step pad, and I'm going to put this in here and center it and try to line it up straight to the best of my ability here, and then down. You got to wait for long enough to make sure that it transfers pretty good, so I'm just putting it down and leaving it for a minute. And then straight up. I should have all of the words there. Looks like it's done good. So then all I'm going to do is take some of this embossing powder, and I keep this in these little Rubbermaid containers because it's just a little bit easier. Don't lose them that way. Don't lose much of it. And then I just pour it back in, tap off the excess, and because I used my scoring pad, I don't have it all over the place. And then all I'm going to do is take my heating tool. I will heat this up. I don't know if you can see, but wherever it'll start showing where it gets shiny when it's getting finished here. And I don't know why this is taking this long, because normally it doesn't take this long. There it is. Little spot here and there. But you don't want to leave it on there too long because it burns your paper. So anyway, there we go. Now you can read it. And just to look here and be sure, yeah, everything looks good. And in that amount of time, the excess glue that I got on there, well, it's dried too. So that worked. Now I'm going to close this. This should be dry by now. I know it kind of bows up just a little bit with the heating tool, but it doesn't take long to cool and flatten. Now I'm going to the front of the card. I have made a little mark here with a white gel pen because I didn't want it to show if I made it and the window didn't cover it up. But I have, what I did was place it like this, and then I took the pen and I went down here and I made just a little mark here so that I would know not to go beyond that point when I'm stamping the next part. Because the first thing I'm going to do right now is I'm going to be stamping the sharing in your sorrow, and then I'll stamp the bush or the little limb on after that. But this one is the sharing in your sorrow. Once again, I'm doing the Versamark. That's clear, so sometimes it's hard to see if you got enough, so I'm trying to make sure I got plenty on there. Alright, the sharing in your sorrow. Well, it'd help if I turned it up the right way. And then I'm putting it right here to where I know it's going to be inside that oval. Okay, there it is. Once again with the white. And I forgot to use my little embossing buddy there, but it seems to have come out pretty good, probably because I did the other side. The reason I'm doing each thing is because if you don't do this when it's pretty wet, then it doesn't do nearly as well, and by the time I do this and then I put the limb on it, then it's starting to dry up. And if you wait till it's dry, you just don't get the results that you want. Okay, there's the sharing in your sorrow. Now I'm going to take the limb, and I just had it in my hand. There it is. And I'm going to ink it up with the Versamark as well. But before I do it, I am going to take this, my embossing buddy, and go over the rest of it. Make sure that I've got that very well covered. And I'm coming over pretty close to this because I know that as long as I'm close to this, that I am going to be okay when it comes to the oval. Now, once again, put the heat tool on it. open it up a little bit. I don't know if you can see how that's starting to get a shine to it. It's starting to become bolder with that shine. My design here. Now I'm going to take this and I'm going to put it on top. And by the way, I need to give credit where credit is due. My upline, Joanne Hewins, is the one that came up with this particular card idea. So it is her that I have to thank for it. And it wasn't my own idea, let's put it that way. And so, as I said, I still have a lot of these dimensionals from when I was doing this before, and I'm just trying to get rid of all that I've got here. And okay, now that I've got all the backing off of that, I'm going to try to place this, center it in the card, plus center it over my design, so that I have a dimension standing up here like that. And then my finished card looks just like this. Now, I have, just to add a little bit of, just a little spice to it, I took, like, this is a 3/4 of an inch, and then on one end I took and did the flag cut on it, like so. And then on there, I am going to take some of the Stampin' Up! The Stampin' Up! Pearls, a couple of these larger ones, which I love these things. I don't use them because I don't want to run out of them, and then I'm like, that's kind of silly not to use them because you don't want to use them up. But anyway, so the other one I did a bow on. This one I decided just to do some of these pearls. If I can get a hold of it, these are the bigger ones that are a little bit harder. I know this has the dots in it, but doing 3 pearls across, if I can get that one in place like I want it, turned out just as good. Just an added embellishment that just adds a little bit more to this. Whoops. The pearls. I'm sorry, I'm having a hard time sticking the pearls on the way I want them. I think that's pretty good. And then I wanted to put just a tad of, just maybe three of these right here underneath here. These are the little tiny ones, and I just cut off a string of 3. If I can get them to stick where I want them to. There we go. So there is this finished card. I know this has been a kind of wacky one, but if you bear with me, I promise I will get better as time goes on. Thank you so much for joining me, and I hope that at least you have gotten a little bit out of this particular card video. Thank you.